So if we do want something to be accessible everywhere, we must add it as either a function inside app like this, or we can add it as a parameter here. So let's try and do the latter. So I'm going to say protected settings like so is equal to, so this is going to be an empty object. So I'm going to create an array like that and then create an object instead like so. Okay, so let's refresh things just to make sure that we haven't lost anything. Constant expression contains invalid operators on line 10. Okay, so that's because I'm trying to create, I'm doing an operation here. So I think for now, let's just set that to a no. I think that should suffice for now. Okay, so back to undefined variable settings here. No problem. So now we have our settings here, and I also want the settings. So this is going to contain the actual settings, and I also want a settings class like so. So that will be set to a no, just like this one will be set to a no. Okay, alrighty then. So now in here, before we do any of this, I want in the constructor here, we can set these values right up front. So let me do here and say set settings variables or something. So I'm going to paste that which I copied right here. Alrighty then. So here I will say this settings is equal to new setting like that. And then here I'm going to say settings is equal to this settings get all is objects. So that is good. So let me refresh just to make sure there are no errors there, and we are good to go. But still we have undefined variable settings, which we are going to fix shortly. So once we fix this error, this one will also be fixed. So this one is in the admin.php, right? So this settings here. So since we set this to an actual class, then we can, all we need to do is do the this like so. So copy that. And let me go to wherever I have used this, which is the admin controller. And then in the admin controller here, where is that? It's right here. This settings save. So all I need to do is put this over here like so. And that should suffice. So even this one here, settings get all, I will use this like that. And we should be home and dry. So refresh. So it's saying undefined property admin settings. Ooh. Okay, so it seems the computer is refusing what I'm trying to do. It just wants me to extend this thing and create inheritance instead. I was trying to avoid that, but anyway, it seems we're out of luck. So our method did not work as we expected. So what are we gonna do then? Okay, so let's change things up a bit. So let me cut all this that is here, right? Set settings variable right here. I'm going to remove all this and let me cut. This is why inheritance was created. So let's inherit, shall we? So here I'm going to remove all this protected settings equals to now, out of here. Okay, we leave our app intact and let me close that. Boom. Okay, so there are several things we can do. We can create some traits, abstract functions, or an interface to handle this. But what I can do instead, let me go to the admin controller here. Let me just extend the setting class. So I guess this is a good candidate to explain why we need things like interfaces, for example. So in this case, for example, we have admin that extends controller, right? But I also want to extend the settings class so I can have a use these things here. So how do I do that? Well, the issue here is that once I extend one class, I cannot extend multiple classes here. Because if, for example, I tried it here and just say extends controller and setting, like so, we're going to have big problems. So if I refresh, okay, so unexpected token. As expected, right? So instead, what we shall do is let's create, let's go to our core here inside the settings class here, or let's go to the settings class itself, and let's change it from a class to a, I don't know what we can use here, because the problem is an interface. It doesn't allow implementation, right? Because we have implemented these things in here like so. So this cannot be an interface, but we can convert it to a trait. So there we go, trait setting. So let's just see if we've caused problems there. Okay, so we have no problems on the trait itself. So now setting is not a class anymore, it's a trait. Okay, so what do we do with this trait? So I can go to, where is this? admin.php. So you see here where I'm extending controller. So I can come down here instead and say use setting as a trait, like so. So let's come back here and refresh. Now the advantage, this is how you can actually extend multiple classes. So instead of controller here, I'm extending two items. I'm extending controller. I'm also extending the setting class, but it's not a class really, it's a trait. So there is that. You do it that way in order to extend multiple things like so. So now that I've extended this, it should have actually worked, shouldn't it? Let me come back here and see why. Undefined property admin settings. Okay, that's okay, because the property doesn't actually exist. So all I need now is to read from get all as object or get all there. Let me check here for a second. Okay, that is all good. Let me go to line 153 on the admin controller. Line 153, where are you? There we go. So this settings get all. Ooh. So now I will remove the settings here and just go directly to get all. And it seems we are breathing. Yeah. So same thing here. Let's remove the settings and just go to save. Now, since we have used this as a trait here, now the thing is, if you don't understand the use of traits and interfaces and all that, just check in the link in the description. I have a link to a object oriented series, PHP Object Oriented series, that will give you the basics of using traits and interfaces and all that. All right, so now that we have that, in the short version I can give you is that using a trait like this is just like extending another item like this, another class. So admin is extending this class, but then I'm also extending this one, which I've converted to a trait. Now the advantage of traits is that I can use multiple traits. I can add another trait here, add another trait like that. So this is equivalent to extending 3 or 4 classes at the same time. So that's the advantage of that. Okay, so now that we have all that, there's something I wanted to do here that I've been sidetracked with that tangent. Let me come back here. Okay, so what I was talking about is that the save here is not very descriptive of exactly what we are saving, because we've implemented this in here. So let me put save settings at the end there, get all settings, just to differentiate what I'm doing here, because in future I may come back and not know what save is saving. So copy that, and let's go to our settings class here and just add to that function, and I'll put that one here as well. Get all settings as object, and then save settings like that. That way it's a little bit more descriptive. And then let me come back here to admin, and yeah, we are good to go. So back to this, refresh, let's see that we haven't broken anything, and that is correct, we haven't broken anything. The only thing now is in the settings area here. Let me come back to this. Okay, we're going to deal with that in the next video. I want to instantiate to have the settings in hand. So this get all settings as object. Wait a minute. Oh, sorry, I'm in the wrong place. Settings class, that's what I was looking for. So here where it says get all settings as object, like here, what I want to do instead is to do a little trick, because I don't want to have to instantiate this thing to call this and save the items inside a variable, even though I can do that. I don't know what's neater, but let me show you one method we can use to save these settings. So for example, I can add settings here. Let me just say protected settings, like so, and then that is going to be equal to no, just like that. And then I can create a constructor here which will populate these settings with all the settings. Yeah, get all settings as objects. Copy that. Great, I'm trying to figure this out for a second. Maybe we don't need to do all this. Sorry about that, going on another tangent again. I'm trying to calculate this in real time, so doesn't seem to be a good idea after all. Okay, so remove all that and let's go back to what we were doing here. So I'm going to go to admin here. I'll see what I can do behind the scenes, then I'll come and change it so that it's much cleaner. But here, what I want to do is to get a variable that contains all the settings in advance. So here, what I want to do is data settings here. I want to do this and create another one which has a capital format. So let me convert the case to uppercase. So there's one like this and there's one like that. So this one is the one that contains all the settings in object format. So I'm going to paste that, get all settings as object like this. Okay, that should fix the worry I had. And then once we are done with that, let's go to our header here for a second. Where is our header? So we go to eShop here, and then we're going to the header. Where are you, header? There we go. Okay, So header should have the right values here. So let's say, for example, I want to add this phone number here. So let me change that phone number. So we're just going to change the phone number for now because I expect some errors here, but not to worry, we will fix them. Settings like that, and put a $sign. And then at the very end here, I'm going to do that and say phone number, like so, and close that. So let's go back here and see if the phone number will update. Oh, this is actually the wrong place to do it. Let me come back from admin here and remove this. I don't need this here. So cut, because there's no header in the admin section. So where I want to go is in the controller of my controllers, and then home, for example. And let me come down here from my home. So index.php, yes. And then I'm going to do that. And then of course here I must use settings. Like so. Okay, so there we go. Refresh. Meanwhile, let's go back to our home page and refresh. And the number has changed there. Okay, now the problem is if I go to shop, I'm going to get an error. But if I come back to home, the error isn't there, and that's because in the controller of the home, I actually used the setting and got that there, like so. So in the next video, we'll see how we can improve this system a little bit. I will see you then.